Golf synthetic 2-cycle. Alright, Terrell, ring me up.
Is that all you need today, Gary?
Yeah, I think that'll do it.
Alright, let me ring you up. Oh, by the way, how's little Johnny doing?
That little kid's becoming a handful, Terrell.
Really? What do you do now?
How much time you got?
Well, I got a little bit of time.
Alright, well, long story long, here's what happened. So, the other day, I'm in the garage. There's that one. Where's the other one at? I know it was in here. Johnny, you wouldn't happen to know anything about my favorite screwdriver missing out of my set here now, would ya?
Maybe.
Okay, Johnny, what happened?
If I tell you, you gotta promise not to get mad, Grandpa.
All right, Johnny, I promise. I won't get mad. Scout's honor.
I was playing mechanic, and I was using it like a pry bar, and then the end of it broke off. So I got scared, and I got rid of it.
Well, I'm not happy, Johnny, but I'm at least glad you told the truth. Luckily, those tools have a lifetime warranty, so just tell me what you did with it, and I'll take it up to the local hardware store, and they'll swap me out for a new one.
Oh, okay, great. That's good to hear, Grandpa. Well, I threw it down in the septic tank, so all you gotta do is climb in and get it.
You did what? Okay, calm down.
It's probably got fecal waste all over it.
What?
I took a big smelly one earlier.
Okay, calm down. You promised you weren't gonna get mad. You can buy a new screwdriver. Don't ever do that again, Johnny. If you need to use my tools, come and get me. I can assist you. Okay?
Oh, okay, Grandpa. Oh, you're going downtown? Okay, let's go.
Johnny, I got something to ask you. You wouldn't happen to know if Grandma was driving my 71 Plymouth Hemi Cuda, would you?
Why, Grandpa?
Because there's 568 more miles on it than when I put it away. That and there's a little dinger on the right side. I don't remember that being there.
Okay, Grandpa. If I tell you the truth, you gotta promise not to get mad.
I promise, Johnny. Where did she take it?
Well, it was Pterodactyl here, and today's video is going to be on this here John Deere X310 with a Kawasaki engine. And as you can notice, I've already got the valve cover pulled off, so you can see. Can you see what's going on? Can you see what's happening here? Can your little peepers see what's going on here? It's got a stuck valve. The valve was stuck. And it knocked the push rod off. And it didn't bend it, luckily. So now we need to find out why it stuck the valve. Is the problem that it's just poor manufacturing? You know, they're building thousands of these engines, and did this one slip through the crack? Or is there a fluffy nest under here and this thing overheated and stuck the valve? Because this tractor's pretty new. Let me look at the hours on it here. It's got 156.9 hours on it, so it relatively got low hours for it to be sticking a valve. So we're going to start pulling it apart and figure out why it stuck the valve. Plus, there's a backstory to it too that I'm going to be telling you as we pull it apart. I don't want to drag on and on and on, you know, like some of these videos where they're, yeah, see, I'm already doing it. All right. Like Gary did with Johnny. So let's pull this blower shroud off and start pulling the head off. So 10mm wrench or socket, screw, pull the fan off. Now I said there was a backstory to it. So, listen up, let me tell you a story. Just like Gary. Now on these Kawasaki's, if these are slotted, so if you just loosen up these cover screws, you don't have to take them all the way out. You can just loosen them up after you pull off that screen. Here, let's take the air cleaner off. There's just a thumb screw to loosen that up. Get the air cleaner off. Oh, we gotta take the fuel pump off, which is just 2 screws, which I've already did. I already took it out, took them out. So we want to lay that out of the way. And see, you can pull that blower shroud off because it's slotted. Alright. And then we'll get a 10mm and we'll start taking this intake manifold off right here. Ah! What the? Ah! What's going on here? Why is this so sharp when I went to stick my hand on there? What's... Oh. This fan is busted. This cooling fan. Look. All the fins are busted off. Alright. So where are the pieces of fan? Where are they at? How come they're not underneath here? There should be little fragments of this stuck underneath here or on the mower deck. What's going on here? So this is telling me a story. Listen up, let me tell you a story. This fan being busted means that this couldn't cool properly and it overheated and it stuck that valve. Let me get a screwdriver. Maybe I can pop this. Yeah. See, it unstuck. Let's see, it's stuck again. So we have an overheating issue. So the story I want to tell you is this. People that own this tractor had it to another shop, and it wasn't John Deere, it wasn't a dealer. And I don't know who they took it to. I don't know if it was a backyarder or if it was another repair shop that, like us, that will fix any brand. And they got it fixed. Now they claim it was at that other shop for 6 months before they got it back. And it was there for a different reason. And when they got it back, it ran. And they mowed their grass a couple of times, and then all of a sudden, this happened. So, a couple of things I'm thinking now could have happened. Wherever they had it apart. Something fell on it, busted this fan, and whoever worked on it freaked out, got rid of all the plastic pieces and put it back together because they didn't want the boss to know they just broke this fan. Got it running and sent it out. Another thing, maybe they were troubleshooting it and they had this cover off and they laid some tools on there while they were working on it. And then when they were troubleshooting it, they forgot the tools were on there and hit the key, and then, but that's dangerous too because the tools could have flew off of there and hurt somebody. Or maybe they left the tool under there, put it back together, and then when it started, the tool busted everything. So one way to find out would be to take that blower shroud and look inside of it. Now what did I do with the blower shroud? Where did I put it? Here it is. So let's look inside. And of course, there's no indication of anything like that happening. There would be marks in here. If a tool flipped out, it would have been rattling around in there. So, the obvious is they had this thing apart, shoved it off in the corner, something fell on it, broke it, cleared out the pieces, put it back together so the boss wouldn't know. That's the only thing I can come up with. But however it happened, that's what caused this thing to overheat. So now let's finish taking it apart and fix it, replace that fan, and go from there. Now wait a minute, there's other telltale signs here. Because this thing's got low hours on it. That's the OEM screw, that's not. So that tells me this thing was apart, they lost some of the hardware for it, and they just came up with another screw that they jammed in there. Again, this thing's like new. It 150 some hours on it. Here's something else I noticed. Usually these Kawasaki's use a button head screw. Look at these screws that hold that fan on there, this fan screen. Not one of them bolts is the same. Every one is different. And I'm pretty sure they use a button head screw on there that you have to take off with an Allen wrench. So this thing was apart. Been sitting a while, something fell on it, busted the fan. Instead of buying that $14, $15 fan, whatever it cost, I'm sure it couldn't have cost that much. They were trying to hide their hiccup, and this is what happens. And as they say, story checks out. So let's continue to take this thing apart. That's why you got to be a lawnmower detective. I should have called them in, but I'm my own detective. All right, so we got to pull this intake manifold off, disconnect this hose, pull this off. There's a bolt here. Take this nut off. We can move this assembly out of the way. We have to take this deflector off. Which helps deflect the air around it. Oh, one over here. Oh, there's one under here, one back here. Whoop, lost that one. I'll get that one with the magnet on the stick. Take this off. Get a wrench. Take this manifold bolts out. Can I get in there with my... This one I can reach. And then the other side, I'll probably just loosen them to take any kind of tension off the manifold. so we can slip the head off. Can I get in there with this again? There we go. See, we just want to give it a gap. And oh, looks like the gasket fell off down there, and that screw out to fish that out of there. And then we'll take this off. Alright, now I can reach in there. So it looks like this muffin is going to have to come off too. I thought maybe it had the pipes that just slipped in the muffin, we could undo the head and just pull it off of there, but that doesn't seem to be the case. So I have to get the right socket for that. That looks like it might be a little difficult to get at. This one in the back here. Let me disconnect this governor spring and move this whole assembly out of our way. Take a look at that. It's in E. E! 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 That's where it's at, E. Alright, let's get this this muffin released. We can pull those head bolts out. We can pull this off, get it on the bench. I'm going to have to get a fan. I think I got one of these engines out in the junkyard that's junk, that's got a good fan on it. I'll have to check that out. If not, I'll have to order one. I know I got the head gasket and the valve cover gasket. So let's get the muffin off. Alright, this is difficult to get to these fasteners that hold this muffin on. So I'm gonna remove this on the side here. Actually, I took this one out, which I didn't have to. This deep well is too long. This is stupid. And that's, I don't think, long enough, but we'll see if it'll have enough to grab it. This is yeah. Let me see if I can just no. That ain't gonna work. Of course, there's no way to get under there with a socket from underneath. Wrench isn't going to grab. This is already turning into a nightmare. Just trying to get this off. Everything else went smooth till we got to the muffin. What am I going to have to do? Pull the engine to get that nut off. I don't have a socket that's in between. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take my socket on my chop saw and I'm going to cut part of it off because it's square all the way down. Because I ain't pulling that engine to get this off. Stupid Kawasaki. Alright, let's see if this will work. Or if I just ruined the socket for nothing. And I think I just ruined the socket for nothing. There's like no room to get in there. So even if I was to get that nut off of there, these studs are so long that if I was to try to drop that down, it's not going to clear that anyway. I mean, I guess if I did get the nut off, I can undo the bolts and then just maybe slip the head up and off of it. But I gotta be able to get that back nut off of there. And I don't have the right socket to do that. And why does that stud gotta be that long anyway? It's 1,000,000 miles long. If I had a socket, a 12mm, that was just a little bit longer, you know what? I'm going to try to cut a little bit off this end where this plugs in. So I cut a little bit off the back side, only because I couldn't cut anything off more here, because look, it's just barely grabbing it now. You would not believe how many times through the years, and you guys know, you grass rats know, how you gotta make custom tools to work on some of this stuff. But what I'm gonna do if I get this head off is I'm gonna shorten them studs up a little bit. They don't need to be that long. So Kawasaki, if you're watching, shorten them studs up, knuckleheads. I hope this fits in there and works now. Oh, look at that. I got it on there. Woo! Woo! Now, we don't want to back it off too much, because then we'll get the socket stuck in there and then we won't be able to go back the other way. And then it'll create another problem. Luckily, this thing has got low hours on it, and the stud isn't all rusted and gonna fight me the whole way, because I'm moving it with my fingers. Maybe I can get this on there and spin it with my fingers now. Now you know why your labor bills and your repair bills are so high on this stuff, because of stupid little things like this. Maybe I can, I got it back down a little bit. I have to get me another 12mm socket now. Maybe I can get it the rest of the way with this battery impact now. I don't want to get that stuck in there either. I know you want me to get it stuck in there, so you can go,
How are you going to get out of that one, Terrell? I want to see that. How are you going to get yourself out of that predicament?
that's some crazy story that Gary's telling, huh? That little Johnny. I can't wait to hear the conclusion. That kid, boy, he's a good kid. Usually kids like that, when they grow up, very successful. They're very curious, like a cat. Alright, 12mm now. Take these head bolts off, and hopefully we can lift it off. Let's see if this thing is going to be strong enough to take these head bolts out. Not that one. Not that one. And we're going to have to take this off so we can get at this one under here. Alright. So what is that, 10 again? We'll have to readjust the valve, because this is how you adjust it. This is on a cam, if you notice. Look, this is how you do the adjustment when you want to adjust your your backlash or your clearance, that's on a cam. That's how you do that. But we'll go over that when we put it back together. In case you ever got one of these and you need to adjust the backlash, you've got excessive backlash, that's how that works. It works pretty good. It's simple and easy. But we have to take this off so we can get to that other bolt, that other head bolt. Nope. And then there was a washer on there too. That went on the bottom like that. There's that cam I took off of there. We'll lay all that stuff right there. Alright, now we can get at that other head bolt. Okay. Did I get them all? Make sure I'm not forgetting any head bolts. 1, 2, 3. Oh, there's one down here. I don't work on too many of these. Worked on a few of these, but can't remember everything. Those are short head bolts. So we got 3 long, 2 short. That should be it now. Yeah. Now, are we going to be able to get this off? No. And you know why? Because there's locating pins that line up the head when you go to put it together. And since this thing is mounted on there solid, I can't, this has got to be loose. And look back here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a bracket for this muffin, and there's a bolt, looks like the bolt, the same bolt that holds the front axle on, is also holding this muffin on. Like to keep it from vibrating and breaking off. Another great innovative idea. So we got to loosen up the other side, and I'm going to have to loosen up this bolt so we can get this muffin loose enough so we can get this head off. This is a nightmare. I'm having a nightmare. This is a nightmare on Podunk Street. Nightmare on Podunk Street. Hey, geniuses over there at John Deere. I like this idea too you came up with. So I went to take this shield off like I did on the other side, and hey look, let's cover up the model tag. Hey buddy, what model of the John Deere you got? Knuckleheads, I tell you, this garbage they're putting out nowadays just getting worse and worse and worse. I tell you, I can't wait to retire.
We hid that tag on purpose in case it ever got stolen.
That's John Deere talking.
And we sell a special socket to take that off too. It's $1,000 for that socket. Only available at your John Deere dealer.
Alright, so there's a big long bolt that goes through the center here. That's to this bracket. I don't know if you could see it. It's kind of hard to see. So I'll have to find out what size that is. Try to loosen that up. And hopefully that'll give us enough wiggle room to get the head from hell off of here. Well, I had another bad incident. I was in there grabbing the other end of this bolt that goes through, and I went up against this choke shaft plastic and snapped it off. So now I gotta get a choke shaft for it, because I'm trying to get under here to loosen this bolt so I can get this muffin off. And of course, can't get in there with a socket wrench. Can only get in there with this, which is taking all day because you can only move it so much unless I take the deck off. I didn't think it was going to be this hard to pull this head off, honestly. I thought this was going to be a quick, easy peasy video. Let me try lowering the deck. Oh. I can't do that because it's got a power lift. Let's see. All right, maybe how does this work? Mower lift. I guess the engine's got to be running. What a piece of crap this thing is. I love John Deere. Alright, I think I got enough of this POF, piece of fecal, loosened up to where I maybe be able to struggle and get this thing off. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Here's our exhaust gasket. There's the head gasket. There's those locating pins I was telling you about. That's what was fighting us. Now we got to get it on the bench. So I got my valve spring collapsing tool. I'll take them creepers out, keepers. Knocking over jars. And then let's knock that valve out of there. Now we don't want to hit it with a hammer. It's a big mushroom bit. So I'm going to use my plastic mallet. There we go. Knock it right out. You can see where it got really hot up in here. It got hot. So let's buff off this nastiness on the wire wheel and see what we got. Alright, I got it all buffed. Let's see if it slides in and out easily now. Yeah. So I don't have to ream it. It just got really hot and just caked on a bunch of nastiness. You know one thing I can do though? Let's put it in the drill press. And let's polish it. Some 600 sandpaper. The Japanese, when they build these engines, you know, they like their tolerances real close. So that's probably why it didn't take much of heat, overheating to stick that valve. You know what, I think I'm gonna, just for the heck of it, think I'll go with some 150. And then I'll finish it up with the 600. Because that 600 didn't seem to really take anything off. I mean, we're probably not taking a lot off either. All right, now we got it really polished up good now. So we'll take some of our gel lube, which we sell in our online store. We'll give it a good coating of that. Because now it's, it's good now. Look, there is a little play in there, see? There's some clearance in there. It just got that coking, they call it sometimes, where it loads up with that carbon. And I'm guessing, I don't know for sure, I'm guessing, that's why I'm telling you, I'm guessing, that when it got real hot from overheating, from that fan being busted, that's what happened. I can't get that one keeper to get in the groove. Get in the groove. Is it? I think it is. We'll find out in a second. Oh yeah. She's in there. She's in the groove. That's from something else. I don't think that's from this. Alright. See? No sticky no more. Like I said, I'm going to cut them down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is put the nut on there and then cut it down, and then that way when I back the nut off, it'll clear the threads out for me. So I think, because it's not in a good spot where I can clean up the end of it once I cut it off blunt. I'll have to use a wizard wheel on it, but I have to use a little tiny wizard wheel. Plus, you know what? Maybe I can get the stud out. I'll pull the stud out and just cut it off. So to do that, I'm going to double nut it. So I took the exhaust nuts, double nutted it. See? Now I can remove the stud. Slipping. Got a 12 millimeter on there. There we go. That's why you got to use the box end. Now it'll be easier to chop some of that off. Really only need to chop off about that much. Oh, coming back out. That's alright, I'll double nut it again. And then I'll stick it back in there. This one I could probably just chop right while it's in there. So what I should have did on this stud was the same thing I'm doing on this one. So you put the nut on there, I cut it off with the wizard wheel, and then this is going to clear the threads out for you as you take it off. But I kind of put a radius on it on on the grinder and buffed it thinking that was going to work, but it didn't. So that's why you want to put the nut on there, cut it off, and then this will, when you take the nut out, that'll clear the threads out for you. Alright, so now we got this back together. I got a new head gasket. I got a new valve cover gasket. I did have a fan out on an engine in the junkyard. And I think there's a choke shaft out there, but I didn't look. So what I'm going to do is get the rest of this old valve cover gasket off, since I got this on the bench. And then we'll go ahead and stick the head back on in reverse order.
So grass rats, you're probably wondering, what model engine is that Kawasaki, Terrell? You failed to mention that.
Yeah, and I just remembered. It's an FS600V. That's the model of this engine. And V stands for vertical. And FS stands for, you know what that stands for. And here's the part number of the head gasket if you want to know. It's right there. That little tiny number. And here's the part number of the valve cover gaskets. I'm going to reuse the exhaust gasket and the intake manifold gasket. These graphite gaskets, as long as I put it back on where it's tore, it'll seal up again. So if I put it back on like that, it'll be fine.
That ain't the right way to do it, Terrell.
Well, that's the way I'm doing it. I got all the gasket material cleaned off. Got to put the head gasket on. And try to drop this thing back in. Oh, got to put that back on. I just got done saying it. Alright, so where's the tore? Just like that. Get that out of the way.
It's gonna backfire. It's not gonna seal. You should have put a new exhaust gasket on it, Terrell.
Well, you know what? If you're doing this job, you can put a new one on yours. I'm sure it'll be just fine. Yeah, that made it easier to get on too by shortening them studs a little bit. Alright, so I'll go ahead, put the head bolts in, torque it down, cross pattern. I don't know what the torque spec is. And then what is this, blood? What am I, bleeding? Oh yeah, cut myself. Alright. Something sharp got me. Okay. Put the head bolts in. Got 3 long ones. And 2 short ones. We'll pretty much figure that out. We'll just go ahead and tighten everything up. Get this POF back together. Alright, I got the head bolt, or the head torqued, 200 inch-pounds. So, that's what most engines are, even Briggs are 200 inch-pounds. I got all my manifold bolts tightened up for the exhaust manifold. I put a band-aid on my boo-boo, because you know what? This stuff is sharp. This is razor sharp. This is what I cut my finger on. You know, they don't deburr any of this stuff. So you gotta be careful. So I mean, it's up to you if you got this thing off, if you want to take something and kind of knock that edge off, but these things, you know, they're machining thousands of these things a day and just throwing them in a bin, and they're sharp. They're not going to take the time to deburr all that. That takes time and man hours. Alright, so this part, if you notice, has got a little notch in it that goes on that pin. Just so you know, so you don't stick it on backwards and break that little pin off of there. Where's my 12? And we'll tighten that down. I'm sure that's about 200 inch-pounds too. We'll do that. I'm just going to tighten it with my torque-like spec hands. Alright, we'll put our push rod back in. We're going to use a flashlight so we can kind of make sure we get on the end of that tappet. It's kind of hard to see, and you don't want to. There it is. It's real hard to see. You got to be careful because you don't. There's another hole, an oil return hole. You don't want to accidentally drop it inside the crankcase. Then we're going to stick this on. We got our washer. Now you notice one end of that washer is big, so it'll fit over this because it's like stepped. And that went from underneath like so. It's got to fit in there. So we're going to go stick this in there. Get it on the end of our push rod. Now I'm going to have to stroke it over so we can get that to close. There we go. We gotta turn that cam. There, see? Oh, sorry, Mr. Cameraman. And we got that all together. So see how this adjusts to give us our clearance. See, there's a lot of clearance now, and when I turn this, it's going to close up the clearance. So we're going to set it at 4 thousandths. So you turn that till you get your 4 thousandths, slides in, and you just tighten this nut. It's real simple, and it works good. You're not sitting there fumbling around like you are with the lock nut and the jam nut like on the other engines. This is a real good system they got. I like this. You can set them real fast. Alright. We'll put the valve cover on. We'll put the spark plug back in. I do got to put the fan on. Put our cover shroud on. And then we'll be ready to, as you know, Elkskin says, you know what he says. Do I have to tell you what he says? Alright, got our new fan installed. And I went out and got the new choke shaft that I ruined. Now it was off an FR 600V, not an FS, but a lot of the parts are the same. As you can see, the fan and the choke shaft. So let me put the throttle mechanism back on and bolt that on, put the cover on. And I could put those muffin guards on later. You don't have to see me do all that. Oh, I went and got the right screw. Was on that junk engine for the fuel pump. And I also picked up the right screws. Remember I said they were button heads? Allens, well, they're not Allens, they're Torx. For the screen. So now we got all the right parts. Alright, we got it all back together. Fingers crossed. You're gonna stick the valve? I hope not. Because there's oil on the muffin and it's burning it off. That's that smoke. That doesn't concern you. But that's what that is. Because it concerns you. Hey, yeah! Fix the stuck valve because of this. It's all because of this. Overheating. Something as simple as that. Isn't that weird? This is like a little crown. I'm going to wear it like a crown now. Caesar! Caesar! Now I'm Caesar. So, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Terrell fixes all. Go to our web store, buy some Taryl apparel like this nifty shirt with me doing a wheelie on the wheelie horse. There it is. There is the wheelie horse. Pan over, Mr. Cameraman. We're still working on that. Maybe I'll wear my crown while I'm riding a wheelie horse. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram with my crown. That thing's pretty tough, so it's not like it was brittle plastic.
Maybe the plastic was brittle. Maybe that's why it broke, because it was brittle.
Yeah, look. See, look at that. I'm bending it. It's not brittle. Somebody dropped something on it or did something. We don't know. We'll never know. Unless we had, the lawnmower detectives. I'll send that off to them. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Yeah! Stuck valve. What a challenge. Get that muffin off. But we did it, and we made a tool, and we chopped down the stud a little bit. And I hope I showed you some stuff, some neat tricks and stuff, and little things that you got to do. You got to work around all that stuff. This stuff isn't in books. This stuff is in here. Years of knowledge. And there's your dinner. Woo! Yeah! Now we can get this back to the people and they can get their grass cut. Probably about this tall.
So, if it wasn't Grandma, then who took the car, Johnny?
It was me. I took the car, Grandpa.
What? You?
But you promised you wouldn't get mad, Grandpa.
I know. I'm sorry, Johnny. I'm sorry for raising my voice. How did you end up putting over 500 miles on it, Johnny?
I saw on the TV that you can make money being a rideshare driver. So I wanted to make some money, so I figured I could take your Hemi Cuda out and play rideshare driver, and then I was gonna get you and Grandma a present with the money.
You gotta be kidding me. I don't believe it.
Yeah, well, believe it, Grandpa. That car's got an enormous amount of power. I just barely touched the go pedal, and it broke them tires loose.
Johnny, I can't believe you would go behind our backs and betray us like this.
But you promised you wouldn't get mad.
I'm not mad, Johnny. I'm just shocked and amazed, scared, embarrassed. How in the blue blazes did you get that thing out of the driveway without us knowing? I mean, criminy, you can hear it coming halfway down the block.
Well, I waited till you and Grandma went to bed at 6 o'clock. Then I put the car in neutral and rolled it down the driveway. Then I popped the clutch and it fired right up. Then I was off into the night making money, baby.
I'm amazed. How did you learn how to drive, Johnny?
You know, from that hot rod simulator that you got me for Christmas, Grandpa.
Ugh, I told Dolores that was a bad idea getting you that game, Johnny. They start these kids off way too young. How did the dent get in the car?
After I dropped off a customer, I was sitting at the light, and some punk kid in a Challenger Hellcat pulled up, and he wanted to race, so I had to flex on him. And he didn't know how to drive his car, so he lost control, and he dinged your car. Whew. I got his insurance info, though, and somebody from the insurance company should be getting in contact with you soon. Sorry, Grandpa.
Johnny, this is outrageous. I refuse to believe you're telling me the truth. Grandma took the car and she put all those miles on it, didn't she? Didn't she? Don't you lie to me. Enough with the tall tales. Bring them down to truth, all right?
You can't handle the truth.
No, I can't, Johnny.
Okay, it was Grandma then.
That's what I thought. Dolores! Dolores, did you take my car out? There's a dent in the side. Huh. What is this? I don't believe it. He was telling the truth. So yeah, Terrell, that's a pretty crazy story, huh?
Yeah, man.
I know, I couldn't believe it either.
You sure do got your hand full.
Yeah, now you know what I mean when I say that kid, he's a handful.
All right, well, I gotta go.
Yeah, well, there was one other thing. Well, I'm not happy, Johnny. But I'm glad.
How you doing, baby?
Shocked and amazed, scared, embarrassed. I'm not mad, Johnny. I'm just shocked and amazed. Scared, embarrassed. There is one other thing I was wondering.